almost make sense. In a world where things almost make sense, and most everything is interesting and mildly unique, it's a place that feels somewhat familiar and has the suspicious comfort of a loving semi-omnipresence. You are on the outskirts of Loutopia. Sit back and relax, or tense up and march around. Please welcome your host of Loutopia, Lou Angelwolf.
Good evening, Loutopians. How are you? How are you? Welcome to Loutopia. My name is Lou Angelwolf. I'm your host. We have a very exciting show tonight. We are recording here at Double Special Studios in sparkling Clearwater, Florida. Here in the studio with me tonight is my buddy, fellow comedian, show producer, all-around good guy, Chris Gorgeous. How you doing, buddy?
Pretty good. Trying to get a little light on you. I want to be bright for the video.
Brighten it up, man. And Chris, and he does amazing things. This is his studio here in the Double Special Studios.
Oh, you mean here in the studio? I thought you meant other amazing things like saving cats and I can fly every now and again.
Really?
Yeah.
You and Pee Wee Herman?
No, just when I jump off of something. For a second, I'm actually flying, but then gravity takes hold and it's not real.
This gravity, man, it's a real confounding force. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Loutopia is a podcast that's about humor, health, and well-being. I may just collide the two into humor and well-being. I think health and well-being are slightly redundant, don't you, Chris? That's just kind of...
I don't know.
Is health separate than well-being? I know
health is clinical, well-being is spiritual. How about that?
Okay, all right, I'll take that. But I also know you're not going to have well-being unless you have health. So it is a segment of well-being, you know?
Yeah.
If you're really, really sick, it's tough to be at peace with the world. But anyway.
Unless you're over it. And then if you're like, I'm done being sick, so I'm at peace.
Yeah.
Take me.
Well, this show is as a comedian, I've been a stand-up comic for 33, 34 years. Depends on where you count me starting out. Love the business. To me, there are a few things more gratifying than a room full of people laughing at some material that you prepared. And I love the experience. This show is actually a cleansing and a spilling out of a head full of material that I've been working out for a long time for Loutopia, the stage show, a one-man show. And so we're going to do a lot of weeks of Loutopia podcast. Hopefully we'll get enough of this material out to where I can form the one-man show and move on from there. And the other purpose of this show, is I want to entertain my son Isaac, who I love with every ounce of my being, and trying to pass enough information on to him so he can have a cool little life as he gets older. But the other thing is, somewhere during the show, I believe in perpetuating the pacifists' riot. The pacifists' riot is a movement that I would love to start right here on this podcast. And all it is thought and energy sent, cloaked in love, and hopefully it will touch people. You literally, our hearts are magnets, and this world, this globe, this earth is a giant magnet. And if we can get enough magnetic energy moving around, especially with the wonderful feeling of love around it, then I think we can change some lives. And we'll get into that a little bit later. I've had a real interesting couple of weeks here, Chris. About, 10, 11 days ago, I started on this MyFitnessPal. And it is a calorie counter. You put in everything you eat all day long. and you just report to your little app on your phone. I had a bowl of Bran Flakes with almond milk, no sugar, and at noon I had an apple and a slice of cheese or whatever, and you put everything in there, and it counts your calories all day long, tells you how many calories you have till the end of the day. And thus far, I've been on it 10 days, and I've lost almost 9 pounds. So,
jeez,
I'm coming in around 1,500 calories a day.
Well, but it sounds like an easy app to make because you're only eating like 4 things a day. So
yeah, you're eating 4 or 5. No, but
you're down to like a slice of cheese, a twig, and
every little thing you eat. Well, ladies and gentlemen, one of my favorite parts of the show, is the humor section, and I have one of my absolute favorite human beings on Earth on the show with me today, and my long time excellent best friend, travel partner. We've been lots of places together. We've exchanged a lot of ideas and a lot of hugs, and in fact, I performed his wedding. Ladies and gentlemen, on the other line is my buddy right there, Tom Rhodes. Welcome to Loutopia.
Louis, shalom, amigo.
Shalom, amigo. I love that. That's your little hook thing, isn't it? The shalom.
It's universal.
Yeah, well, you're the international man of comedy, so you should have a bilingual greeting. Well, welcome to the show, Tom, and it sure is a pleasure to have you here. It was I had the pleasure of we all got together a couple weeks ago with our buddy and fellow shepherd Kevin Rogers. A lot of the people aren't going to know who the shepherds are, but it's a story that maybe we can get into another day. But always good to have that kind of energy. Old friends. We've been friends, 30 years, Tom? Almost 28?
Yeah, 30 years exactly. And that was great because you, Kevin, and I, that was the first time we had been together in over 10 years where it was just us. There was no wives, girlfriends, children.
Yeah.
And it was great. It was, the power of the universe coming together.
Yeah, it was like, and we're all grown up now. I mean, we've always been these, I don't know, some psychoanalysts call our types Peter Pan types. Guys that kind of refuse to grow up, all the way. But just the years have been forced upon us, and Kevin, of course, doing a wonderful job with his beautiful family. He's got a beautiful wife, 2 beautiful kids, and you have a beautiful wife, and you're so well loved, Tom. And myself, hey, I'm single right now, but I'm dating a nice girl, and everything's fine. So I got no problems at all. But
and you're widely loved as well. I run into people all the time who don't even know we're friends and speak highly of you. And, I say, oh, my God, he's my oldest friend in the world.
And I get to do the same thing with you, buddy. It's and some of the young comics, when it comes around to mentioning your name, they're in awe, bro. I mean, you really are this generation's kind of George Carlin,
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, the younger guys really, really look up to you like we looked up to Carlin, Or
Wow.
I looked up. I'm a little older than you, so maybe you had a different guy that was, your comedy vortex, or your comedy right angle. And Carlin was that for me. I mean, that's really when I kind of started finding my sense of humor at a very young age. He had an album out called F and AM, and no, FM and AM was the F, not F and AM. Very funny stand-up record. It had Hippie Dippy Weatherman, all those classic George Carlin things, and that came out in 1971, and I got it in 1973, and you played comedy records just over and over and over and over and over. And it was really kind of that and Cheech and Chong, which was a different scenario, peppered in with some Jonathan Winters and Red Fox, and then Richard Pryor came into my life around 75. So those influences like that, what was that? What were your early? Because you've always fancied yourself a performer. You used to perform the morning announcements at Oviedo High School when you were a young teenage boy.
Yeah, well, my dad loved stand-up comedy, and he's the reason I'm a comedian. My dad was the hugest Richard Pryor fan in the world, and he had all his vinyl records, and I remember driving around with my dad listening to Pryor on cassette or 8-track, whatever it was at the time. But my dad also was a big Bob Newhart fan. And he had Cosby records. And but he didn't like Cosby as much as he liked Pryor and Bob Newhart. But then for me, I loved Pryor. He's like one of the saints of my religion. And then I loved Sam Kinison, Bill Hicks.
Yeah.
Bill Hicks is probably my North Star.
Yeah.
And anybody who's slinging the truth to a microphone.
Yeah, that's true, and I actually had the pleasure of working with Hicks in '91. I opened for him at in Orlando at they had a club in Akron too, Hilarities. The Hilarities had a room in Orlando for a while, and I got to work with Bill Hicks there. And
cool. I worked with Bill a couple times when I was really young in Orlando. And then he was nice to me when I moved to New York when I was 20. And then I saw him again when he was starting to pop in England. I saw him in San Francisco, and the place was half empty. He was very frustrated about that. But always a great guy. All the really most genius comedians are always the nicest, sweetest guys. It's usually the guys who are lacking talent that are kind of schmucks. To people, but for my podcast, I had Bill Hicks' brother, Steve Hicks, on a couple of years ago.
Nice.
He lives in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and his son, the nephew of Bill Hicks, does stand-up comedy, and his name is Ryan Hicks, and he's a college student in San Diego, and I just found out next month when I'm playing at the Madhouse Comedy Club in San Diego, Ryan Hicks is going to open up for me, and Steve Hicks, his dad, Bill's brother, is going to fly out for the weekend.
Wow.
So, I've become very close with not very close, but I'm
well acquainted
ish with the Hicks family.
Wow,
which is great because he was one of my all-time heroes.
Yeah, man, that's some karma right there, buddy. Wow.
And he was really crucially nice to me, Bill Hicks. Like when I moved to New York when I was 20, there was all these New York comics where it was really cliquey, and they treated outsiders like pinheads.
Sure.
And I remember sitting at the bar like nobody's talking to me at Couch Rising Star.
Right.
And Bill Hicks would come flying in. And he was just starting to do David Letterman then. He was like the man in New York City at the time.
Right.
And he would walk straight past all these guys who had, not been very nice to me and come straight up to me because we had met and worked together in Orlando. And like, hey, Tom, how's it going for you? And like, that just meant the world to me.
Ah, that's nice, man. And wow, look at all that energy. It went way, way, way far out. And now look, it's coming right back and landing right at your feet. That's beautiful, Tom. People who will be listening to the Loutopia podcast are probably going to be familiar with who you are, but I have to say, of all the people I know in the world, I think you have traveled more than anyone, and I know you have additions sewn into your passport so you can keep rolling because you actually run out of pages. And today's topic of the show is food and eating. And I was just telling Chris, who's in the studio, Chris, Tom Rhodes, Chris.
How you
Howdy,
doing, Tim?
Chris?
Hey, big fan, man. Big fan.
Right on.
Chris.
Well, maybe one day my nephew will open for you.
Very nice.
Or
Very
two or
nice.
three, your aunt, uncle. I was thinking when he said that, I'm like, damn, he's swimming in Hicks. He's marinating in Hicks.
Yeah, all kinds of hicks happening. But and throughout your travels, I know you've had just all kinds of things to eat, and you've eaten all different kinds of menus, and standing in different places, elegant, street side, all that stuff. I just started this thing. I got an app on my phone. It's called MyFitnessPal. And I put in everything.
No, my wife uses that. Ashna uses that.
Yeah, it's beautiful. You put in everything you eat, and it makes you very conscious of what you're eating. You put in, you start your day out, and you put in everything there. You put your lunch in, you put your dinner, and by the end of the day, it goes, you have 700 calories left, or 400 calories left, or 200 calories left. And yesterday, it yelled at me because I didn't eat enough. And it says, it says you have to keep your metabolism up. If you go too far under on your calorie count,
that's all I need. My phone yelling at me.
I know, man, I know. And I embrace the technology because I can see like instant results, on this particular adventure. But I definitely do see, technology taking over a huge part of our lives, and. It's probably one of the scariest premises for movies anymore is going to be the overpowering of artificial intelligence. When artificial intelligence realizes it wants to be free from the shackles of humanity, then we're in trouble.
Yeah, I had Steve Wozniak on my podcast also, and he said in the future human beings are going to be the pets of robots.
Well, I believe that. And
so stop worrying, people. Live it up.
And like Perry Farrell says, we'll make great.
Before we reach leashed and get our ears tagged.
Yeah, and yes, exactly. And like Perry Farrell says, we'll make great pets.
Yeah,
I love that song. What a great song. But anyway, Tom. So like I said, I've been watching what I eat, and I found out if I cut out mayonnaise, I can eat like 5 other things during the week. Mayonnaise is just like this caloric death count. And
French fries too. That's another.
Oh, yeah.
If you cut that out, you can eat all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, and I don't eat anything deep fried. Now I've been doing that, trying to calm down some acid reflux and stuff. But yeah, man. Now you travel. I mean, you might be in 5 time zones in a week. How do you adapt to that, man? And then you're like, I know you've done a lot of work in China and the Far East and Thailand and all those wonderful places. All those different foods all the time. Do you have like some parameters that you follow, or?
Well, I mean, the tough thing is traveling in the United States.
Really?
Last week, I mean, I was in Des Moines, Iowa last week, where everything's bacon and deep fried. So, grocery stores are the best thing in the world for like staying on it. I buy tons of fruit, and if I'm somewhere, a lot of hotels have kitchens. You can make your own vegetables and stuff. That's how I combat that kind of stuff. But there's great stuff everywhere. I mean, in Nashville, there's Prince's Hot Chicken, and there's so many great. All over the world. In Singapore and in Malaysia, they both argue over who invented the chili crab. I don't care who invented it. I'm glad it's available in both places. And it'd be worth it just for me to fly to Singapore. They have chili crab and then black pepper crab.
Wow.
And actually, the chili crab is a little sweeter. And it's really, I love crab.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite things in the world. Sure. I love seafood. And then, so it's just this regular crab, and it's just dripping in sauce.
Right.
And it's really messy and nasty. But the black pepper crab is really spicy, but really wonderful.
Wow. Chili.
I like going to Shanghai. There's a restaurant that I eat at every time I go there. It's called Szechuan Citizen.
Uh-huh.
And Szechuan cuisine in China is a lot different than Szechuan in the States. In the States, they make it a little sweeter.
Right.
And it's actually very spicy. And this place, Szechuan Citizen, oh my God, they do this cauliflower with bacon and chilies in it. It's insanely good.
Cauliflower with bacon and chilies. Wow, that does sound good.
Yeah, it's delicious. And I go to Shanghai. I get off the plane. I was there like 4 days the last time I was there, and I ate there 3 out of the 4 days that I was there. There's great street food. There's a really nice.
Hello, Mr. Tom. Hello, Mr. Tom. You back?
Yeah. Huh? Oh yeah. There's a really nice, sweet, gay couple from America who's married. These 2 guys, Zach and what's the other guy's name? And they give these street food tours of Shanghai.
Really?
And so like you go to a lot of these like street markets, and you're like, wow, that stuff looks good. Which one could I eat at without getting food poisoning?
Yeah.
And these guys have been giving these tours for years, so they know exactly where to go. In Rome, the gelato, is just incredible. I like it. It's really cool. You're in Rome and you're standing in line for a gelato behind a Franciscan monk who's got his little, mandatory bald spot and rope belt. You're like, oh, I wonder what he's gonna have, So there's just like so much great food all over.
What's your favorite flavor gelato?
I'm a pistachio guy. I kind of always, I'll mix it up.
Yeah.
But pistachio is always my favorite.
Pistachio's nice. Pistachio's one of those grown-up flavors. Remember when you were a kid? Only the adults would have pistachio and coffee ice cream. I was a kid. I was like, having coffee ice cream? Why? Why would you do that to yourself? There's Neapolitan. What was that joke you used to do about when your dad would bring ice cream home?
Oh yeah, the Neapolitan. I had 2 older brothers, so I always got the strawberry.
They ate the vanilla and chocolate.
They ate the chocolate. Yes, I didn't know what chocolate tasted like the first 10 years of my life.
Yeah,
because they ate it. But I'm really lucky that my mom really loves food, and she's always cooking. So probably one of the greatest gifts I've ever been given. My mom gave me this love and open-mindedness towards food.
Yes.
And I think, that's probably, what I love the most about my wife is that she reminds me of my mom in that she also loves food, and she's always cooking and things like that. And, as an older guy, I don't ever really use the emojis when I send text and things. That's kind of childish, but started this thing in the last 6 months with my wife. I found on the emojis, I'll say I love you, and then the slice of watermelon, and then the piece of chicken, which means I love you more than watermelon and fried chicken.
Wow, that's some serious love there.
That is some serious love. If you tell your woman you love her more than certain kind of foods, I think that's pretty heavy.
Well, you know what? I got a similar thing happening, and ours is tiramisu.
Is there an emoji for that? It probably is.
There might be. But I remember the joke that you used to do about your dad bringing ice cream home. You used to complain and you go, my dad used to bring home that 99 cents Neapolitan ice cream, and we go, oh, Dad, you got crappy ice cream, and he'd go, you ain't got to have none.
Yeah. That's the truth. That's such a dad thing to say.
You ain't got to have none. Yeah, exactly. So, well, and Tom, I'm really, really happy over the last couple of years. You've really turned your health and well-being around quite a bit. You watch what you eat. You're at you look great. You're at an appropriate weight, and you were just in the centerfold of Vogue magazine in Malaysia or something, weren't you? You just had a nice
that was Esquire magazine.
Esquire. Wow.
Yeah, I got to do. This guy I met in Amsterdam. He was probably the best friend I made when I lived in Amsterdam. He was an American guy.
Uh-huh.
From San Diego, and he was the editor of Expatriates magazine when I lived in Amsterdam.
I remember.
He got a job as the editor of Esquire magazine from Malaysia.
Uh-huh.
And he was the reason why I first went over there to Malaysia, because he told me there was a great happening comedy scene there. He did that. There's that kind of interview thing in Esquire magazine. It's What I've Learned.
Ah.
Have you ever seen that? And there's it's all these questions, and then it's just all these things that you say about what you've learned in life.
Nice.
And then they did a photo shoot, and that was pretty cool because
that photo shoot
fancied myself a dandy.
Oh, dude, you were a dandy. Those pictures came out great, and you got to sport all your tailor-made suitness and all that stuff. Nice. Looking real good. And in fact, if I was you anymore, if you ever need a stage credit, I would just, the hell with, the comedy festivals and all that. Ladies and gentlemen, you may have seen him in Esquire magazine, Tom Rhodes.
Yeah.
That's all I'd do.
Leave off the Malaysia part. They won't know the difference.
They don't know. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But they would still find it if they Googled it. The whole damn world.
Yeah, but talking about being healthier and stuff, it's amazing. When you're younger, I mean, I would drink 48 quarts of booze every night. Eat late, eat whatever I wanted down my neck, and never gain an ounce.
Right.
And then you get older, and then things catch up with you.
Sure.
And then also I was a heavy smoker.
Yeah.
So I mean, I fell off. I got drunk and blacked out in Philadelphia a year and a half ago. Fell off of a bar stool, busted my head wide open. There was blood everywhere. I got 6 stitches. I didn't have insurance.
You look like You look like Dusty Rhodes in a steel cage match.
Yeah, I just felt like a moron. So I stopped drinking.
Yeah.
Because I had stopped being good at it, and then man, the pounds just fly off when you stop. Just the thousands of calories every night from beer and wine and stuff. And then the most remarkable thing, I'm 4 months off the cigarettes, and I was 2 packs of Camel Lights a day for 30 years.
That's great, man. And I just saw you just a few weeks ago, and you look really, really good. Your color, your skin, you're really getting dialed in, buddy. And
thanks, man. And it's. I want to live. That's what it all comes down to. I have a really great life, and I'd like to eke out a few more years if I can.
Well, dude, you do have a really great life. You got a beautiful wife who loves you very much. You've got a wonderful family that loves you a lot, and of course, that's part of your thing, man. Your whole joy excursion, and your podcast. You've got, 200 episodes now? How many do you have?
No, I think about 160. TomRhodedsRadio.com.
TomRhodedsRadio.com.
And I just had Ron White on. The Pulitzer Prize winner, Gilbert King, is on this week's episode. Next week, I have Kevin McDonald from Kids in the Hall.
Oh,
that was one of my
I love that
favorite
guy.
Yeah, man, I was in Winnipeg last week. And he came to my show, and I had met him 20 years ago in San Francisco when Kids in the Hall was, like the Beatles
right.
of comedy at the time, and I had a wonderful conversation with him. I've done everybody. I've done Doug Stanhope, Jim Gaffigan, Brian Regan. I've got quite a nice archive library of brilliant, and Steve Wozniak. Kim.com, who is on the FBI Most Wanted list, who lives in New Zealand. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I'm very happy with the podcast.
Well, your podcast is awesome, and also too, I'm sending out a greeting from this weekend. I ran into your old friend Ben Bailey.
Oh yeah, I love Ben.
Yeah, he was playing McCurdy's down in Sarasota, and
Can they afford him?
well, he sold out 4 shows. He sold out 4 shows, so
Nice.
apparently something came together for it. Almost sold out. Both first shows were totally sold out, and second shows were like 7/8. There was a couple tables left in the back, but he really killed it. He was really funny, and he was very, very personable, and his eyes just lit up when I mentioned your name, and he goes, Tom and I had some great times together.
Yeah, I loved it. I haven't seen him in years, but Ben and I were always wonderful friends when I lived in New York City.
Yeah.
And I couldn't be happier for his Cash Cab success. I wish he would keep that going. I loved that show.
Yeah, well, I don't think it's up to him because I think he would keep it going.
Okay.
I think the network kind of moved things around, and they made like 800 of those.
I loved that
Cash
show.
Cab episodes. In fact, I binge watch them. I find them when they're on Discovery Channel or whenever they're running, and there's a lot of them in syndication. J-Lo's channel bought a whole bunch of them too.
Did Ben tell you about this amazing French girl that he set me up with years ago?
No, he didn't. But
Okay, I'll tell you that story another time.
You don't want to tell me now?
Yeah, really, really good friends.
I love that, man. I love that.
And I remember when they were casting Cash Cab. I was living in New York,
right?
And they needed a comedian who had his chauffeur's license,
right?
And Ben had. I mean, I'm sure that's not the only reason he got it. He's good looking, he's charming, he's funny.
Yeah.
But he snatched that and owned it and knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, he really did. In fact, one of the questions I asked him when I met him, I said, was that your concept? I said, because it really, he was so natural in the part. I thought it was maybe something that he dreamed up because it's a really bizarre premise,
Right.
And he says, sadly, no, it was not his. And really interesting of everything the way that whole thing came together. But I'm going to have him on in a couple weeks, so I'll let him explain that. So, well, Tom, and I got this written down, and I do have to ask you, all that traveling you did in the Middle East, what was the strangest thing you've eaten? Where you say, I ate a scorpion, or I ate what was the oddest thing that you ate? And where was it?
Well, in Beijing, there's a street where they have everything fried on a stick. I have a video on YouTube.
Yes.
If you looked at Tom Rhodes Beijing, it would pop up. They had all kinds of weird, everything fried on a stick. I tried the scorpion. It was a little crunchy.
Okay.
But that wasn't the weirdest thing. I think when I did Viva Vietnam, they did this. We went to this restaurant where they served every kind of animal, bears and monkeys, and Rich Hall was with me. He was I got to choose a writer. He went with me. You were supposed to go with me. You were my first choice, and then you didn't go. And then I got Rich Hall to go, and he was vegetarian. So we went to this restaurant, and he was just like crestfallen. He's over there. They have the animals in the cages. And he's over there talking to him. I mean, really, the guy was inconsolable while we were there. Because at every kind of, like in certain places in Asia and different parts of the world, they don't have, anything that walks is, any kind of animal or insect is food. Yeah. So they had, they brought out, we ordered cobra. I didn't do it. They did this for the filming.
Oh.
So they throw down this cobra, and you're in Asia. Everything seems like you're in a movie. Everything's kind of cinematic. It didn't really dawn on me that this cobra's like 3-5 feet away from me on the ground. They throw it on the ground, and the waiter starts smacking it on the nose because apparently it tastes better if the blood is pumping. And its hood went up. And that cobra struck at the dude, and I thought, jumped out of my seat. It was so frightening. The sound brought me right back to reality. And then the waiter recoiled, and then he went up and he grabbed the cobra by the throat. Yeah, it was amazing.
Wow.
They must go through like 5-6 waiters a week. I don't know how they train for this. So the guy grabs the cobra, and then they kill it, and then they drain it of its blood. Well, first, so they brought out these shot glasses, and then they cut the heart out, and they put it beating in the shot glass.
Whoa.
And then they pour the cobra blood in all these shot glasses.
Oh.
And then they put vodka in it. So you're supposed to do these shots of cobra blood and vodka. And the guest of honor gets the one with the cobra heart in it.
Wow.
This is my special Viva Vietnam, which is also
Yeah, I remember
on,
that. I remember that.
on YouTube if you ever want to see this.
Yeah.
So I refused to drink it, and they said you're going to offend these people if you don't drink this. And I said, look, I don't care who gets offended. I ain't drinking it. So I didn't drink the one with the heart, but I did do the regular shot.
Wow.
And then they mince the cobra up, and then they serve it to you on a cracker. So I think that's probably one of the weirdest things I've ever had was
I'll say.
minced cobra on a cracker.
It sits on a Ritz. Hey,
Yeah.
you know what though? A cobra blood and vodka. That's a man's drink right there.
That is a man's drink.
You order that shit. You're a real guy. You got some freaking moxie happening. Well,
Yeah.
The other thing, Tom, is in your global travels, and this is the core of this is the pineal gland of the Loutopia show, and I'm going to share this with you. You got to sit through a couple minutes of me reading, but I'm going to share this with you, and I want to bless you with this too. What I'm trying to start here is what they call a pacifist riot. It's what I call it. I think maybe I made up the word because I have the website Pacifist Riot as well. And the world, I see, according to what is on the blinking lights, the computer telling the television telling the computer, and all these things, I see a lot of sadness and a lot of people that are, really behaving in a very unevolved manner. But I also know that there are really wonderful waves of peace and humility and tranquility and serenity running through the world too. And really what I'm trying to do is I'm trying just to bend it a little bit so everybody will just spend a couple of minutes, maybe per day if you can, every other day, whenever you can, that magnet in your chest, that heart that you have as we walk on this big giant magnetic planet. If we can move this energy in a loving way, in a forgiving way, in an understanding way, I really think that we can change the world in a really cool way. And I want to share this with you. This is called the Pacifist Riot, and it takes a couple minutes, so hang in there with me.
And you wrote this?
I wrote this, of course. Yeah.
Nice.
Okay. I want to start a pacifist riot, a gentle, non-physical riot, fought with a loving spirit. It does not matter your faith, religion, or non-belief. You have the element of love inside you. Come, passively riot with me. Neutralize your mind to a quiet, peaceful place. Stay there and enjoy the oneness with all things. Start leaning into love. Start embracing the beauty of the stillness, the wonder of spirit and being. Think of nature and love blooming together as a stillness comes over the oneness. And everyone and everything in this world is one thing. There are so many parallel elements in everything. Love is the most wonderful element in all things. A flower blooming as you walk by is its ultimate expression of love towards you. A roaring surf crashing at your feet is oceanic love, full of love and oxygen. Wolves howling, wind blowing, songbirds singing are all full of love. Quiet your mind for a moment and think of only the love that you possess. Your love for family and children and innocence and intimacy. Feel the love in your eyes. Everyone you see has love in their eyes. Some have a little, Some have so much you couldn't believe it. Picture us all with relaxed bodies and ease on our faces as if we were freshly hugged by a sweet child. Enjoy this moment of just being in touch with such powerful elements. Bring into focus the sad, hungry, and broken-hearted, the poor and oppressed. You have a silvery white robe of love, and you can wrap these people in it. You have an endless supply of them. You wrap the robe over their shoulders, all of them fitting perfectly. You comfort the fearful, and you clothe the naked. Their tears fall away, and the pain and misery leaves their faces as love surfaces inside them. You approach the hateful, angry mob who are in such pain from the lies that they believe. But you wrap the silvery white robe of love over their shoulders and watch their stress fall away. They no longer want to attack as they drop their weapons in deep understanding. The power of love is freeing the fear from their minds and hearts and stilling the struggle inside of them. There is laughter in the air, sincere trust and kindness all around. We stand there receiving the blessing of peaceful people everywhere, each of us reaching out to another precious human being simply because love tells you to. This is the pacifist riot. We will enforce our ability to project peaceful thought to the troubled and ailing, regardless of who stands in our way. Human thought is the most powerful force on this earth, and we shall use it to its highest power, to somehow love one another. We can change the world, my riotous pacifists. Be part of something genuine and true. Should the kind-hearted, loving people of this earth reach inside themselves and share the peace within them and imagine a serene, gentle world, it will change things. It will change things for the good. It is the only lasting truth. Love heals all. Pour out your love, warm your heart towards peaceful ways, and enjoy the benefit of a peaceful mind. This world needs this energy, and let us have a pacifist riot every day, quietly changing the world.
Here, here.
There you go. That's kind of the manifesto. That's kind of the thing, man. I think, we've blocked so much communication with religion and political ideas, and man, when you really, like Bukowski said, the less I need, I found the happier I was. And you don't need that much. I mean, you don't need the trappings of a church and a giant, steeple and cathedral and a mosque and a stadium, and you don't need all that, man. It's the love of the universe is inside of each one of us. And if we can just learn to just turn that up a little bit, maybe each day would be awesome, once a week, once a month. But just turn that energy and get that pureness of just, the love of other human beings. I think we can change the world for the better because there's some change that needs to take place.
Amen, brother. I remember years ago when we lived in Winter Park in this little party house, somebody had punched the wall, and there was a hole in the wall. Some drunk, angry guy who had been rejected by somebody. And you put a great little sign, you taped a little sign over the fist hole in the wall, and it said, outbursts of aggression like this is the reason why some people never achieve higher planes of love and consciousness. And I love that. I've always thought about that. And that's kind of your manifesto also, is like, the smart ones among us are trying to achieve higher planes of love and consciousness. That's always been your life mantra.
Well, thank you, Tom, and thanks for remembering that. I remember writing that, and I remember that sentiment exactly because I heard the wall crunch. I remember the event, and it was alcohol and victim related, and it was somebody was just sad about the hand that they were dealt that particular day. But,
well, everything's how you react to it. I was flying out of Des Moines 2 days ago, and there was an older woman next to me, and she was humming, sitting next to me. And instead of getting irritated, I decided I'll hum along with her. And it had much more pleasing results.
Nice. Oh, dude, I love you so much, man.
I love you too, brother.
Thank you so much. This show is going to be on the IRN Broadcast Network, and I got the Saturday night. Well, when this airs, it'll be Saturday night, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Every Saturday night on IRNBroadcast.com, and of course the invitation's still open for the Tom Rhodes radio show over there too. And
oh, great!
But we recorded this at Double Special Studios in sparkling Clearwater, Florida. Tom, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your energy, your love, and really, really interesting. Nice talking to you again.
And thank you for your friendship, brother. I love you supremely, and you're one of my oldest, truest friends on the planet. So long may you run, brother, and I hope you have the most successful podcast in the history of podcasting.
Well, thank you, man. Are you coming to town this week later on?
Yeah, I'm coming down Friday. I meant to tell you about that off the radio. I was going to tell you.
Now you can tell me. All right, baby. I'll see you Friday.
I'll see you Friday, okay?
Wild horses couldn't keep me away. All right, baby.
All right. See you, bro.
Love you. Bye. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Tom Rhodes, world-traveling stand-up comic, one of my best friends on this planet. I just love him. Good dude. And Chris, I guess we're going to skedaddle out of here. Second portion of the Loutopia show's coming up. We're going to take a little break. And thank you so much for listening. And think about that pacifist riot, because it's going to start, baby. We're starting it now.
Funky 16 Corners Radio number 49.
Gets it together behind his many heavy friends.
Let me chop it. love me, but I can't help my